Once upon a time, in a far-off land, there lived a young girl named Lila. Lila was an orphan and lived with her grandmother, who was very poor. They lived in a small, run-down cottage at the edge of the woods. Despite their poverty, Lila was a happy girl who loved to play and explore the woods around her home. One day, while playing in the woods, Lila came across a mysterious path she had never seen before. It was a narrow path, surrounded by tall trees and overgrown bushes. Lila, being curious, decided to follow the path and see where it led. As she walked, the path became darker and narrower until she could barely see where she was going. Suddenly, Lila saw a faint light in the distance. She ran towards it, and as she got closer, she saw that the light was coming from a small, cozy cottage. The cottage had a thatched roof and was surrounded by a beautiful garden. Lila could see a figure moving inside the cottage and decided to knock on the door. The door creaked open, and an old woman with kind eyes greeted Lila. "Hello, dear," said the woman. "What brings you to my humble abode?" Lila explained that she was exploring the woods and stumbled upon the path. The woman smiled and invited Lila inside for a cup of tea. The cottage was warm and cozy, and Lila felt immediately at ease. As they sipped their tea, the woman told Lila about her life and the magic that surrounded the woods. "Many years ago," said the woman, "this land was full of magic and wonder. But as time went by, people forgot about the magic and stopped believing in it. Now, only a few of us remember the old ways." Lila was fascinated by the woman's stories and didn't want to leave. But as the sun began to set, Lila knew she had to return home. The woman gave her a small bag of herbs and said, "These will protect you on your journey. Remember, magic is all around us, we just have to believe." Lila thanked the woman and said goodbye. She walked back down the narrow path, feeling a sense of wonder and magic. As she walked, she noticed the trees seemed to sparkle in the fading light, and the flowers glowed with a soft light. When Lila arrived home, she showed her grandmother the bag of herbs and told her about the woman she met in the woods. Her grandmother listened intently and smiled. "I remember the magic of this land, and I'm glad you got to experience it for yourself." Lila couldn't wait to explore more of the woods and discover more magic. She went to bed that night with a sense of excitement and wonder, dreaming of all the adventures that lay ahead. Over the next few days, Lila couldn't stop thinking about the magic she had encountered in the woods. She longed to return to the cottage and meet the kind woman again. So, she gathered some supplies and set off into the woods once more. As she walked along the familiar path, Lila's heart was filled with excitement and anticipation. She wondered what other secrets the woods might hold. As she reached the cottage, she saw the woman sitting outside in her garden. The woman smiled and waved, beckoning Lila to come closer. "Hello, my dear," said the woman. "It's so good to see you again." Lila smiled and sat down beside her. They talked for hours about magic, nature, and the importance of belief. As the sun began to set, the woman gave Lila a small book with a worn leather cover. "This book contains all the magic of the woods," she said. "Read it well, and you will never forget the wonder of this place." Lila took the book and thanked the woman. She hugged her tightly before saying goodbye and heading back home. Over the next few weeks, Lila pored over the book, reading about spells, potions, and the magic of the forest. She spent her days exploring the woods and testing out the spells she had learned. Some worked, and some didn't, but she never gave up trying. One day, while wandering through the woods, Lila heard a soft voice calling out to her. It was the woman from the cottage. She looked older now, and her eyes shone with a strange light. "Lila, my dear," said the woman. I need your help. The magic of the forest is fading, and I fear it will disappear forever if we don't do something." Lila was taken aback by the woman's words. She had never heard of the magic fading before. "What can I do?" she asked. "You have a pure heart, Lila," said the woman. "And the magic responds to purity. We must gather a group of pure-hearted individuals and perform a ritual to save the magic of the woods. Will you help me?" Lila nodded, feeling a sense of responsibility and duty. She didn't know what lay ahead, but she knew she had to do everything in her power to save the magic of the forest. The woman and Lila set off through the woods, seeking out those who possessed pure hearts. They searched far and wide, through valleys and over mountains, until they found a small group of individuals who were willing to help. Together, they gathered in a clearing deep in the heart of the forest. The woman led the group in a chant, and they all held hands as they began the ritual. Lila felt a strange energy coursing through her body, as if the magic of the forest was flowing through her veins. As they chanted, the trees began to sway and rustle, and the flowers bloomed in vibrant colors. The birds sang in harmony, and the animals emerged from their hiding places, drawn by the magic of the forest. For what felt like hours, the group continued the ritual, pouring their energy and love into the magic of the forest. And then, suddenly, it was over. The woman smiled at Lila and said, "You did it. You saved the magic of the forest." Lila looked around, and everything seemed different. The colors were brighter, and the air was filled with a sweet fragrance. She knew that the magic of the forest was safe, and she felt a sense of pride and accomplishment. As the group began to disperse, the woman pulled Lila aside. "Thank you for helping me save the magic of the forest," she said. "But there's something else I must tell you. You have a special gift, Lila. A gift for magic that few possess." Lila was surprised by the woman's words. She had always been interested in magic, but she never thought of herself as particularly gifted. "What do you mean?" she asked. The woman placed her hand on Lila's shoulder. "You have a connection to the magic of the forest, Lila. It flows through you like a river. With practice, you can learn to harness that power and use it for good." Lila felt a thrill of excitement. She had always felt a deep connection to the forest, and now she knew why. She was meant to be a part of it, to use her gift for the good of all who lived there. "Thank you," she said to the woman. "Thank you for showing me my true path." The woman smiled and hugged her. "Remember, Lila, the magic of the forest is a gift to be cherished and protected. Never forget that." Lila promised to never forget the woman's words, and she set off into the woods with a new sense of purpose. She knew that her journey was just beginning, and she couldn't wait to see where it would take her. As she journeyed deeper into the forest, Lila began to notice a change in the creatures that she encountered. They seemed more at ease around her, and some even approached her fearlessly. She realized that the magic of the forest was truly flowing through her, and she felt a newfound confidence and sense of purpose. One day, as she walked through a particularly dense part of the forest, she came across a wounded deer. The animal had a deep gash on its leg, and it was lying still, unable to move. Lila knew that she had to help, so she knelt down beside the deer and placed her hands on its wound. Closing her eyes, she called forth the magic of the forest, letting it flow through her and into the deer. As she chanted softly, the wound began to close, and the deer's breathing became more regular. After a few moments, the deer opened its eyes and stood up, looking at Lila with gratitude. From that moment on, Lila knew that her gift was meant to be used to help all creatures of the forest. She traveled far and wide, healing wounded animals and using her magic to bring harmony to the forest. As she walked, Lila could feel the magic of the forest flowing through her, guiding her on her path. She knew that her journey was just beginning, and she was excited to see where it would take her next. Years passed, and Lila became known throughout the land as a healer and protector of the forest. Many sought her out for her guidance and wisdom, and she never turned anyone away. As she grew older, Lila knew that her time in the forest was coming to an end. She had done all she could to protect and preserve the magic of the forest, and she was ready to pass on her gift to the next generation. One day, as she sat beneath a towering oak tree, Lila felt a presence beside her. It was the same woman who had shown her the way all those years ago. "You have done well, Lila," the woman said, smiling. "Your gift has brought much joy and healing to this land." Lila nodded, feeling a sense of peace wash over her. "I am grateful for the life I have led," she said. "And I am ready to pass on my gift to the next generation." The woman placed a hand on Lila's shoulder. "Remember, Lila, the magic of the forest is eternal. It will always be here, waiting for those who seek it." With those words, the woman vanished, leaving Lila alone beneath the oak tree. As she looked up at the branches above her, Lila felt a sense of wonder and awe. The magic of the forest was indeed eternal, and she knew that it would continue to thrive long after she was gone. With a smile on her face, Lila closed her eyes and breathed in the sweet scent of the forest. She was at peace, knowing that she had lived a life full of purpose and love. And as she took her last breath, she knew that the magic of the forest would continue to live on, forever.